Welcome to the January 2022 meeting of the Governance Committee of the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees. The committee is holding a hybrid meeting this afternoon in accordance to Governor McKee's Executive Order 2201. Some committee members are gathered in person and some are participating remotely. Public access to the meeting is available via the YouTube video platform. At this time, I will conduct a roll call attendance to determine if a quorum is present. Please clearly respond present when your name is called. Courtney Nicolato, I am here. Vice Chair Jay Placencia.
Here.
Charlie Fogarty. Mike McNally.
Present.
Barbara Cottom. Mayrai Gindi.
Present.
Margot Cook.
Present.
And President Parlange.
Present.
A quorum is present, then we'll call the meeting to order. Reminder to all members to please clearly identify yourself whenever you make a motion or a second to the motion so that we can have it accurately reflected in the minutes. The first order of business is the acceptance of the agenda. May I have a motion that the Governance Committee of the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees accept the agenda for the meeting of January 20th, 2022?
So moved, Jay Placencia.
Second?
Second, Mike McNally.
Any discussion? Being none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great, the motion is approved. The next item on the agenda is item number 2, the approval of the minutes of the November 4th, 2021 meeting of the committee. May I have a motion that the Governance Committee of the University of Rhode Island Board of Trustees approve the minutes of the November 4th, 2021 meeting of the committee?
So moved, Jay Placencia.
Second.
Second, Mike McNally.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion is approved. On to item number 3, discussion items. We have a number of discussion items up today and excited to hear a lot of the great work that's happening within the university. Our first item, item 3A, is talking about 2022 proposed legislative changes. I want to welcome Carlos Lopez Estrada, the Director of Legislative and Government Relations, who's going to provide more details on this agenda item. Carlos?
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here in front of the committee. And just want to say that we have been busy here at our Office of Government Relations. I have my partner here, Lauren Burgess, who we work together on federal on her end and state on my end. But in this unprecedented time of opportunities, new funding streams, all this money floating around, you'll find that the state and federal pieces work symbiotically together. So you'll often see that what I'm working on, Lauren's a part of, and what Lauren's working on, I'm a part of. So to address the proposed legislative changes, I know that we have had several discussions with the members of the board about priorities in terms of the distance, remote meeting issues, the quorum issues, and I'm happy to report that we have made significant progress in addressing that particular issue. As a matter of fact, as we speak, working in conjunction with our partners at Pannone, Lopes, Devereaux, and O'Gara through Matty Lopes and his team, we are submitting a new piece of legislation that's going to address that. We've had fruitful conversations with the Senate and Senate leadership regarding the bill, and they seem very supportive of giving the board the ability to meet remotely, and so that way we don't have the quorum issues. We've worked with our legal counsel, Alyssa Bloss, to draft the legislation, and we're in the process of pushing that through and hopefully having a permanent legislative solution to the quorum and remote distance meeting situation that we have. So that's definitely, I think, a big victory for us, because it's going to allow the university and the Board of Trustees to really have that global impact that we want to have. And if you want to have that, people have got to be able to meet remotely from Guam to Narragansett to Michigan to Florida or wherever they may be. So it really is a big win for us legislatively.
Great, Carlos, thank you on that. And I can't echo enough your perspective as it relates to the governance of this board and the necessary flexibility that is necessary for us to be able to do our jobs and do it right. There's no question that this board is deeply dedicated to the university and its work. And we are a global institution, one that we take great pride in. So ensuring that we can have some flexibility so that we can do our jobs and be the best board members and trustees we can be for the university is going to require some of those shifts. And so thank you for your leadership and support, and to PDL&O and their support in that effort. Also, I think we've talked about this in our governance meetings a few times about the importance of us finding a balance related to quorum. You know, that right now it's 13 of 17 physically in person. That's not the case right now because of the executive order for remote meetings at the moment. It's just life happens. Many of the folks on our board are, you know, executives across the globe, and making sure that we can still conduct meetings and conduct it in a fashion that is representative of the university is really important. So thank you very much for that hard work. We appreciate the good news that this is being well received. So next steps on that, what does your timeline look like for submitting that legislation?
We actually have already drafted the legislation. Alyssa worked with us and gave us a draft. It's currently in the hands of Matty Lopes and his team for just review. And we anticipate next week meeting with the Senate to get that ball rolling. And then it's as long as it takes them to go through their legislative process. But as I've said, they've been very supportive and are willing to expedite it, if you will.
Great.
Yeah. In addition, I've had conversations with the House side, and they seem to be very supportive and amicable to it as well, which is great news because we need both chambers to pass it.
Any questions for Carlos?
Just see the final before it goes to, I know we've seen it like all along, but
Makes sense.
Okay, well,
because we don't want to go back and ask again.
Right, right.
you're absolutely right, Chairwoman. We have to get it right the first time because we're only going to get one bite at this apple.
Well, it's a little busy this session too, as we all know, so.
Yes,
And so you'll make that as a to-do for yourself, Carlos?
yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mike?
Yes, thanks, Courtney. What's the status of the other legislation that with respect to board member terms and their kind of election process and all that? Because the initial legislation is a bit dysfunctional.
Thank you for that inquiry. I have good news on that front as well. Thanks to Chairwoman Margot and the board's annual board report that we hand-delivered a couple of weeks ago. The governor has already started to reach out. I know that they reached out to Michelle for Chairwoman Cook's address and information, contact information. And we are in the process of setting up that meeting so that those items can be discussed with the governor directly. And I predict that that meeting will be imminent within the next couple of weeks, based on everybody's schedule. Sure.
And to Mike's point, I think it's important to note for those that might be watching the meeting, is that the initial legislation was really built to build the board, not necessarily maintain the board. And so when we're talking and thinking about terms and other things for the maintenance of the board and the ongoing operations of the board, it's critically important. So great to hear that progress is being. Any additional questions, Carlos?
Good work.
Yeah. Guys, Lauren, welcome. Anything that you want to share on your front?
I'm just very delighted to be joining the team. Of course, I came on board in October and unfortunately missed that board meeting because it happened in November because of COVID. So glad to be in person and appreciate the time today that we could discuss some of the ongoing initiatives that we've been working on as a team.
Great, we're thrilled to have you both. Thank you so much. Also, just want to make a note that Barbara Cottam has joined us online. Barbara, welcome. Glad you're here. Next up is item 3B, which is the URI Board of Trustees nomination process. And so this group has spoken in the past about the importance of creating a nomination process where folks can share their interest in potentially serving on the board of the University of Rhode Island, understanding that it is our governor's decision to who is selected. We would love to always be ready to provide any suggestions. And we want to gauge interest in the board as well. As Carlos mentioned, we provided the governor and speaker and Senate president an annual report of the activities of the URI Board of Trustees, which shared some of the incredible highlights and accomplishments, not just of the Board of Trustees, but of the university as a whole. We know that from a trustee's perspective, our job is in support of the great work happening. And so I believe there's copies of that being passed around right now. Thank you. And for everyone to have a hard copy of it. And it really is a great opportunity to share that good news and good work. And many thanks to the team at URI, Michelle Carreri, particularly for getting this document and this report to reality. And so right now we are talking about, and in that report you will see there was an update around where we are in recommendations for the 2022 renewal and appointment process. As we've mentioned, we have 12 of the 17 members up for renewal, and some that were, their terms ended in 2021, and some whose terms ended or will end on February 1st, 2022. The rule of thumb in the legislation is that we remain in our seats until we're either renewed or someone else takes the reins of your position. And so part of the annual report was to not only share the information and share the renewal, but call and ask for a meeting to meet and visit and talk about these renewal processes. And so, Margot, any update on hearing from the governor's team around the renewals?
I have not heard directly yet, but I do know that their office has reached out to Michelle, as Carlos said, for my contact information. And I have heard from, through another board member who has been in touch with the governor's office, that it's forthcoming.
Great.
So the expectation is that we'll get a time to meet, probably Mark and me, presenting how we want to, how we would like to approach the renewal process, and suggesting how, like, what process we have in mind. You know, my sense is that that he's looking for some guidance from us. I'm sure he may have some ideas or influence, but the way it stands right now, it's all of the nearly everyone, we're going to be suggesting that we just ask for renewal of the term and use the initial term that was in the initial legislation, whether it was a 1, 2, or 3-year term, as the starting point, and then make it a 3-year term starting from that initial date. And that way you still have a staggered board, but there's some continuity to the board. And part of the argument about keeping nearly everyone on board is that it's a very collegial group. We're still in early days of getting to know each other, particularly because of COVID, but that it's working really well. And that to have too much turnover early on is not. So I think we have a good argument. We'll see where, it stands. And I think the important thing here is that we want to set a precedent as to how we do this. And we should be probably speaking annually with the governor anyway as to here's what the board has done, here's some of the accomplishments, and redoing the process.
Margot and I also had the opportunity to visit with many of our board members who are up for renewal, to kind of learn from them and hear from them, their interests and their interest in potentially being renewed, and as well as talking about their participation on the board and what they would like to do moving forward if they are selected. And so I know from my perspective, it was a great conversation, and there is a genuine excitement for what the university is to come and their role in supporting the university. So we are all here and have that momentum. And I agree with Margot, consistency is important right now, not just the pandemic and supporting Mark as he's continuing to in, but it's a very exciting time for the university, and this board is really just getting started. So very good. Also, we've chatted in the past as a governance committee about the importance of creating a nomination form that will go out for folks who are interested in being considered by the governor for participation on the URI Board of Trustees. We have a draft version of the nomination form that has been completed, that has been presented to committee members for review, not for consideration at this time, but for review. And we ask that you provide some feedback to Michelle on the document so that we can finalize that and get that out. If folks are interested, we will intend to make this an online form for folks to be able to complete, and we make that available to the general public at large. Questions on the nomination?
Courtney, I just have one comment.
Sure.
One of the things we may want to do, I mean, we evaluated or assessed the skills and kind of the backgrounds of the board of directors, and there's certain skills we need. The board needs a diverse set of kind of backgrounds and skills and diversity in general. We may want to use a similar form in the application, because when we lose directors, we may want to backfill with someone with, there may be skills that are absent that we may want to select. So it's not just based on here, but there may be specific skills we're hunting.
Yep.
when we look for them.
That's great, Mike, and we can align that with the compensation matrix that we
Yeah,
put in
yeah.
that survey and ensure that those are maybe a drop down or something.
Yeah,
on
that's
the
great.
Great idea. Any additional questions? All right. The next item is item C, which is faculty, trustee, and student trustee appointments. You may remember that RIGL 1632 2.2 and section 2.3 of the board's bylaws are entitled Appointments of the President. President of the University of Rhode Island will appoint one faculty member and one student member who shall be a full-time student in good standing at the university to serve as a non-voting ex officio capacity for a single 2-year term. It has gone without saying that whoever this will be has big shoes to fill. We've been so grateful to have student representative Christopher Bowe, an outgoing faculty representative. I'm in still denial that she's the outgoing faculty representative. Mayrai Gindi in these roles for the past 2 years, and it has been an absolute honor and privilege to work with these great individuals. And so thank you, Mayrai, for your service and your support to the university. It is a pleasure to know you as a human, a champion for the university. And, we're excited for your so I'm going to ask Dr. Colange to provide an update on, as we're considering faculty trustee and student trustee appointments.
Okay, thanks very much, Courtney. I would also just want to begin by also stating my warm thanks, Professor Mayrai Gindi, for all the leadership. I think one thing that was very important that I've seen as that you speak for the entire university community at large, but certainly for all the faculty. So but I also appreciated that you were able to challenge and that you were. I think that broadly from the entire trustees, I know. Thank you. I'd also like to say Christopher Bowe, as Speaker of the Student Senate, certainly brought a strong perspective from the Student Faculty Senate. Of course, he's also not afraid to speak his mind on that he felt important for the student, strong at half of the student body. So I think we were extremely well served. These two positions, just to remind, are appointed by the president. I followed in the case of, for the faculty appointment, the procedure that was used by my predecessor, Dave Dooley. And so I asked the Faculty Senate for if they could provide me nominations. They provided me 5 names. I was able to interview 4 of the 5 in person. I had met with the 5th person before, so I had a perspective of their view. I will first want to say they were all awesome. I really enjoyed meeting all of them, and it's one of those terrible things when you have too many fantastic choices, and at the end of the day, there really can only be one person. And so, so thank you for those great suggestions, and I like that they were spread across the campus, so I got to meet many people. The person is Professor Bethany Jenkins. She's in the College of Environment and Life Sciences. She has a joint appointment with the Graduate School of Oceanography. She is in the Department of Cell and Molecular Biology. Her background is largely in aspects of marine microbiology.
What?
Are you watching it on?
Can you see me?
No.
We can hear you. Sorry, Chelsea. And we can see you, Chelsea. And
Chelsea.
I just wanted to say some of the aspects that I thought was very good. I think she will, again, speak for the entire university. She put a very strong importance on the value of research. We are the research flagship university of the University of Rhode Island. We are in the same league with University of Wisconsin, Delaware, Washington, Berkeley. Very important that we have that. She brings the strong connection, obviously, with funding from the National Science Foundation record there. She was a representative for the graduate school in cells. One other piece that I thought was very important is the role that PhD students play in mentoring undergraduates. So we talked about this undergraduate student academic experience that's very much, supported by the PhD. So I think she saw, the growth of the research university as being important, but she had a very broad view, I thought, of the university community. So I'm delighted, and I know that tomorrow afternoon she will be able to join us for in-person meeting. Our other colleague at the undergraduate level is Hannah Bashert. Hannah, unfortunately, will not be able to join us. Like many of our colleagues from Florida, she's still down in Florida, but she's down there for training. So she's on the river as we speak. She's on the crew team. She's pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Communications with minors in leadership. And she is a student. I noticed that you said it has to be a student in standing. She's on the dean's list. She was on the boat last year that won the 810 for the fours, so she's quite an athlete. She is a representative to the 810 sporting committee, so that's great. She's a teaching assistant to iStand, which is a program in sexual abuse and assault, so she's quite active there. And I think she will bring a very positive voice, and she really wants to, talking with her, represent the. So both Bethany Jenkins and Hannah Bashard are. Yeah, it's finished. Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you, President Parlange. And we're looking forward to being with Bethany and Hannah and getting to know them and working with them as well. Any questions for President Parlange?
Question, what is the process that the actual committee goes through, the Senate, to elect where do they come from?
I think it was a recommendation that came from Professor Audrey Cardenet and Professor Michael Rice, who are sitting over on that side of the room.
If you wouldn't mind coming to a mic, Audrey. Audrey, can you come to a mic? Thank you.
Senate Executive Committee brings forth nominations. We have discussed faculty. We brought each of us, there's actually expand that pool. The 5 individuals to begin with, and to see if from that 5, one of them able to, which is
But as far as the original pool of candidates who know that this position is available, how do we communicate to the faculty and also the student body about their potential to be considered?
the faculty, first of all, the faculty senate only. And that was done, if you, I would say, reach out in terms,
Correct. That's
there
the
is
question.
not.
Same process with us, with student senate as well?
That would be Mark.
Yeah. So I did ask Christopher Bove to make recommendations, but I wanted to be able to enlarge it to entire student body. So members of the student senate, of course, are, would be great, but in discussions, there are many people that are, including in the case of Hannah Bashert, who are obviously extremely busy, so they don't have the time for student senate leadership, but they're also extremely interested in functioning and better. So part of it is also, they will speak on behalf of students, but for example, in the case of Hannah, told me that she was also in university administration, and that would also be useful for her. I wanted, so I did reach out to, for example, the athletic suggestion. This particular case,
Any additional questions? Thanks so much. Also, when we think about our nomination process and, having a great pool of potential candidates to share with our elected officials, one of the things that we want to also make sure is we think about board engagement, but also pipeline development. And Lil O'Rourke, our head of our foundation, Michelle Carreri, and others are really looking into ensuring all of our various advisory groups and committees throughout the university, we see that as interest already in the university and opportunities to have a great pool of potential trustees down the line. And so I asked Lil to come walk through some details on how she believes the foundation can be supportive of that effort, as well as how we think about board engagement too. So Lil.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here with everyone. So we at the foundation, we're responsible for advancing the university, really believe that we need to work in close proximity and partnership with the university regarding the board, potential members of the Board of Trustees, and that we are coordinated so that we're actually not asking the same person to come on 2 boards to organize. So we're going to always be in conversation about how we engage people, and they can move between boards. If someone completes a term on the Board of Trustees, they'd like to remain engaged with the university, that's terrific. And we have boards for the schools and colleges. We have a board of directors foundation. So it's a matter of just working in partnership and being transparent as we consider great talent and human assets that we want to bring on board to support the university.
Awesome. Any questions for Lil? I'm excited to have a continued great relationship with the foundation and leverage the great talent within the foundation to help us ensure that the candidates that we're potentially are absolutely the right ones for the university. So thank you, Lil.
And I'll just say, I think the movement to have the legislation so we can have board members from around the world engage is really important, as our staff are out all over and meeting with alumni and friends of the university. They can identify people from our global council, which has 12 countries represented in that. So we'll always be thinking about that as we want to continue to expand. And
Wonderful. Any additional questions? Moving on to agenda item 3E, our annual retreat planning. Believe it or not, we are in 2022, and that means it's going to be time to start talking about our board retreat. I want to turn it over to President Parlange. I know he's got some ideas as we're thinking about themes for the retreat.
Well, thank you, Courtney. So the first thing is we have started a process, and it's been part of my, as you mentioned earlier, boarding, but listening tour and getting to meet people. And we've had a number of focused retreats already that have taken place. First, already back in August of last year with the deans. We've had then senior leadership, broader retreats, spending a day to start to think. And this week now we've formally kicked off our strategic planning. We have a committee that is starting to work on that. We're starting to pull together ideas. We want to be able to do serious and genuine consultation with different groups, and we want to be able to bring different perspectives. So this is very important, I think, for us, thinking about the board and where we go, because I think if we're going to have that retreat and we have very busy people who have a lot of talent, we want to make sure that it's the time is well used to think through issues. So obviously there are a number of issues that are going to have to be discussed, but I think it would be nice if we use that occasion, and I've discussed it with the chair of the board in the past, that we use that occasion to really have breakout groups, to be able to have some overall perspective. But I think it will be important for the university at least to be able to lay out some kind of structure, and that we're still, again, at the early days for that meeting. So obviously there will be aspects about international, entrepreneurship, scholarship, national collaborations, and there will be research themes that we will be looking at. We want this strategic plan to be something that is not so broad that it is meaningless, but we want it to have real meaning, and we want it to be able to have very specific action items that we will take, and that it's understood through the whole university community, that people feel part of it. So it's going to be, I think it's important in multiple ways. It's also a chance to start to share a little bit where the university would like to. So at the very basic level, it's, what kind of university.
Back on that, or any questions? Are there any other kind of key themes that you wish about around the retreat? Above and beyond, I think what you outlined, I think is going to take the lion's share. If there's anything.
Well, it comes to mind. I think it's a given that part of it is self-assessment.
Yep.
Maybe taking another look at what we did last year around self-assessment. It's always think about what worked. I like the idea of breakout groups. It just engenders better discussion. So maybe we have a couple of topics that are relevant to from a self-assessment standpoint that uses that same format.
So we'll have our.
Besides the two.
Question?
Yeah.
We don't know.
So
We do know we'll have our faculty and student representatives, the timing to which. Board members? Yeah, one of the things that we're planning is to have an orientation, as well as connect new other board members, mentors. I know Bethany is, so some of that may be handled separately, but we'll absolutely. Else on the retreat? Last year was the summer.
And so I'm just thinking in terms of, does this align with how you're thinking about the strategic plan? Is June too late or?
I would also look to colleagues. I think it actually might be perfect timing because if we're, and I was going to show tomorrow the timeline, but that's about the July and August to start to
Shape it.
to find tech and, get it to. So I think that would actually be a good point. I think there are certain things that we do, in terms of running the university that we have to have as a newbie university. I can see certain things we have to have a hard look at related to how we do our finance. How are we going to grow the revenue and the pie of the university? What might we do in terms of research to grow it? The connections to the state of Rhode Island. These are things that we're daily struggling with. But I think it's back to where it's easy to write something with 50 points. It's harder to say these are the 5 areas. I think we have to piece through. And so one of the things I really appreciated with this board is that when we talk about subjects, whatever it is, people bring a certain perspective that we really don't have otherwise. That's also a fun occasion to be senior leadership at the university.
Sounds like early June.
See, last time we did it sort of 25th, I remember flying to the United States,
Yeah, that's right.
26th or 27th,
So
somewhere.
anytime in June probably would be.
I don't know if there's already set dates.
Do we have a date
I'd
yet?
look to-
Your time, take your time. So great, so we'll take these, kind of think through a high-level agenda for the board retreat. And what is it?
23.
June 23rd, great,
Yeah.
awesome. Great.
If I could, Madam Chair.
Yeah.
One thing that I thought that we can have as part of the retreat is also what we've done as a last year. Goals in place, that we've done to.
Really makes me think about discussion about what the goals of the board. So obviously they align with the goals of the university. The board really should have sort of, what are we trying to?
And I think the self-assessment should be that moment. All right, my next item is item number 4, is adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Can I get a second? I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion to adjourn is approved. The next meeting of the URI Board of Trustees Governance Committee is scheduled for April 21st, 2020. Thank you, everybody.